you at before Real Wealth Australia? Tell us the journey of your investing.
All right, I will begin. So, we were recently married and living in our principal place of residence, which I'd purchased a few years before, so we had a bit of equity, and then we both were working. I'd recently had a child as well, so little Lila, so I was just working casually. Michael was working full-time. And I've always been really passionate about property. Always read lots and lots of property books and just sort of kept my eye on the market. And then I found Helen's book, 59 Mistakes and How to Avoid Them. So I read that, and it was the first time I'd read, many, 12, 15, 20, I don't know how many property books, but it was the first one that I read that I actually thought, you know what, I reckon we could do some of this. And it was actually achievable. The numbers made sense and the strategies made sense. And it was just like, yep, I want to know more about this and this lady because I really feel like we could actually achieve something here. So that was how we started and came along.
So you only had your principal place of residence?
Yes, that's right.
All right, so you joined us when?
Well, at the time, like Karena mentioned, I had a full-time job which wasn't working out too well, and all of a sudden found myself unemployed. So fortunately, we made a phone call to Real Wealth Australia, and we ended up speaking to Ed himself and explained the situation. And Ed was very accommodating, and he was happy for us to hold off and do what was necessary to help us. And there was no pressure at all. And when we were ready, come back and discuss it, and we decided to go ahead. And that happened, what was about 3 or 4 months afterwards?
Yeah, so August 2015 was when we came along to one of the nights that Helen ran and had a call with a property coach the next day and just talked about it with them. And yep, we want to proceed, we want to go, put pretty much all our savings into this because we want to be educated, we want to make informed decisions, and we want to learn the process for ourselves rather than going to one of those companies where they just tell you some information but then they say this is the product that you need to buy. We wanted to learn it for ourselves.
I think the thing too, that gave us a lot of faith in Real Wealth Australia, personally, because we didn't have any pressure. It gave us hope for the future as well, and we were just really appreciative that we were given that opportunity. And yeah, like Karena said, we were just really excited just to get going. And that gave us a lot of security as well where we're going in the future. So thank you, Ed, and Nolan and everyone else in the team.
So then February, so that happened in August, so we took a break, Michael secured employment again, and then we were ready to move forward. So we joined up sort of officially, continued what we signed up for in August. In February 2016, the first step was all our financial health check and our credit file. Basically everything that Helen's gone through today are the exact steps that we did it. So we started working with David Regina from Blue Ink Finance, got our finances in order. We were in pretty good shape actually. We didn't have any bad debt. We only had a fairly small sort of credit card. We didn't have much savings because all of our sort of cash we put into the program here, which was the best investment we could make. But we had lots of equity. So the first step was to do the refinance of our principal place of residence and release that equity like Ed mentioned before. So we needed to use that money really carefully and see how many properties we could buy. Initially we were looking at getting one, and that would have been an absolute dream come true for us. And I remember that first phone call with David, and he's like, you guys could get 3. We're like, what? In a year? What are you talking about? We can't do that. That's not, we just had no concept of what we could actually achieve.
Yeah. And the same thing with David, having that conversation with David, he did listen to us, and we appreciate every word that he said, and we took that on board. And like Karena said, that really gave us a sense of, okay, there's a future there in this for us. And it was pretty exciting. I remember David saying that, you guys have been a little conservative. And we thought about it and thought, okay, we are being conservative, but that's our approach, that's how we like to go ahead, and it makes us feel comfortable. Same thing with the buffers.
Yeah.
We like to have the buffers in place.
You've got to be able to sleep at night. You don't want to stress yourself out.
Yeah, and so that was good.
So tell us, The burning question that everyone wants to know. Tell us about those properties. How many do you have? Where are you at?
So we've ended up purchasing 5 properties in the last 3 years, which is amazing.
The thing about it though is that we don't feel like we've rushed into anything. We've put the work in and educated ourselves, and we put the work in and the effort and all the due diligence, all the things you learned today and over the weekend, and it hasn't felt like we're rushing at all. We just look for opportunities, and the opportunities have come up and we've gone with it. And with all of the assistance of the team, the mentors and the team that we've built around us as well, which we'll learn more about, and it's made the process so much easier. Like Karena said before, we never thought this would be achievable for us, and it's certainly made it very achievable for us. And we're really excited about the future.
Michael, if you had to give the people in this room some tips or advice, what would you tell them? Like you have
Listen to your wife.
Good man.
Tips and advice. Follow the
You've got the
processes.
benefit of hindsight.
For me, and Karena will probably have a few that are different, but obviously they're very tied together. The thing that comes to the top of my head is really follow the process. The things that you learn this weekend really do work, and they made sense to me, and I never thought that I'd ever be in this position of understanding how property works and how the game works, and it's a bit scary at first, but you've just got to follow the process and just give it a go, and just, mate, as long as you're doing all of putting the effort in and the work, you can't just sit back and expect it all to come to you. You've actually got to put the effort in. You've actually got to do all the due diligence you've got to do. You can't take shortcuts. That's the most important thing, I would say.
And when you put that work in, you develop the confidence in what you're actually doing, and you develop the confidence to, like Helen says, within 20 minutes out of a report, be able to look through it and go, yep, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, I'm going to look further into those. The rest, no, they don't fit me.
Okay, that's now.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it took us hours of sitting there and going, what do you think of this suburb? What about that suburb? And looking at the numbers, and it's always the numbers.
And even when you ring and speak to people, the property managers and all that sort of thing, it's funny, you start asking some of the questions and very quickly they're like, oh, you actually know a bit about this, don't you? You're not just sort of asking, questions that other people wouldn't ask. Some of them are even surprised that you're even speaking to a property manager to find out what the tenants are looking for before you've actually started looking and going on realestate.com to go, well, I want to buy this one and that one looks nice. Who knows? You don't know what you're looking for yet. You've got to do that research. So that's been really good to get a handle on all of that and feel confident to be able to do that.
I think of one example, ringing around.
Yep.
Yeah, ringing around and doing that due diligence, and because that confidence came the more calls you made and asking the right questions, and you learnt the right questions very quickly, talking to different property managers, maybe if you call the church in a particular area or the police station in the local area, things like that, trying to get as much of that due diligence and that information as much as possible. There was some information that we come across that we never came across before because we asked the right question, and we found out there was an abattoir in one particular area, and at certain times of the year it's very smelly. So then we started to look into that a bit more, and that made it a lot easier making the decision where to go to next. So that's just one good example.
So guys, where to from here? You've got 5 properties, now what?
So what we're planning at the moment, we're saving for our next deposit. Our goal is to buy another 3 properties, to have 8 in total, and then to pay those down and over the next 12 or so years hopefully get to a place where we can look at retiring I think I'll be like you, Helen, that resonates with me. After a weekend I reckon I'll be done. I'm like, what else is next? What can I do now? Because I love to be busy and lots of energy. So I don't think I really want to retire, but be able to choose what work I do and what days I do. And that sort of thing. And of course, it's not just, okay, we've got those 5, they're done and dusted now, we'll keep moving on. Every week, every day, every month, you're checking on those ones. How's this one going? Can we put the rent up on that one? What are the tiles like in the kitchen on this one? What's the property manager doing with that one? This lease is up. What's going to happen with that? So you're constantly managing them and making sure that the property managers are doing what they're supposed to be doing and reviewing your portfolio as well.
I can vouch for that one. In bed at night.
So it doesn't stop.
Looking at realestate.com.au, looking at the next potential, looking at other opportunities all the time, and I'm very blessed to have a wife that's into doing all those things and making it easier for me. But also,
you say the sweetest thing.
Lots of brown food.
But I mean every word. And,
it helps if you really enjoy it. If you really enjoy the research and, when they ring up and say, yep, they've accepted your offer, that's quite addictive. You'll get addicted to that very quickly. And you'll want to keep having those phone calls and, getting those properties signed up. So it's exciting and it's fun and it's stressful at times as well, but that's when you have your landlord insurance and you have your years. We've only had one property be vacant for 2 weeks in that entire time, so we think that's pretty good. And we've followed all the processes that Helen has said. We have got those suburbs where the population's increasing and the rental demand is there. We've got the kind of properties that tenants are looking for because those are the properties that we bought, the ones that people want to rent. And we've been able to put the rent up. Not huge, amounts. We haven't put the rent up by $50 a week, but every year $10 or $15. That's all right. That's that's going to get us there as well.
And it's just interesting because I think back to the initial conversation with David too. Our plan was very conservative, and we were thinking maybe 15, 20 years. Was that about right, David? About 15, 20 years?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? It's a while ago? Okay, that's all right. You're a very busy man.
Forget about that.
I didn't hear that, no. But that was our plan. We were thinking then maybe 15, 20 years to get 10 properties. And so we never thought we'd ever be in this position of having 5 and 3.
And we're quite modest. Our principal place of residence is only worth about $700,000. It's not like we've got a $1.5 million house. I'm a teacher, just on a regular sort of salary. Michael works with people that have disabilities. Again, a regular sort of salary. We still have our holidays, we still have our families, and do things with our daughter. So it's not, we're just average people who have really just made the most of what we've got.
Awesome. Guys, are there any questions you would like to ask Michael or Karena?
I got a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brett?
So you said 5?
Yes.
5.
Where are the 5? Sorry, state, just state.
Yeah, just state.
Just say,
Yeah.
2 in New South Wales,
One in Queensland.
1 in Victoria, 1 in Tassie.
That's it.
That's
It's
it.
good diversification.
Yeah, we've tried to diversify, and they've all been within that sort of 250 to 350 range. So again, keeping it very achievable for people wanting to rent it. We don't have any plans to sell them at this stage, but if we did need to, it would be quite achievable for people to be looking to purchase properties in that price range.
There's another question?
The one in Tasmania, by the way, that's a self-managed super fund.
So the next 3, which state?
Oh, right. Well, we were just having a bit of a discussion about that. We wouldn't mind doing a bit more research, checking out maybe Adelaide. We'd love WA, and then maybe possibly another Queensland or Tassie. So a few options there, but yeah, we'll need to do some more
Go
research.
and view. Go and
Do you view the properties?
you find that very, very important, like you sourced it for
I will never buy a property without looking at it. Unfortunately, because the family lifestyle and my wife working weekends, obviously not today, she's here with me, which is fantastic. Me going interstate and spending a whole day, all the pre-organisation that happens beforehand, and spending a whole day looking at, say, anywhere from 9 to 15 properties in one day, and making a decision from that.
And
But
flights
that's
are
only
so
because
cheap
of that.
now.
That's,
Really, guys, Jetstar flights are pretty
It's
cheap.
exhausting.
If you plan ahead, You know, you've got to do it. It's
Yeah.
worth the investment to not do it. Sure, you can not do it, but you're better off. You learn so much from viewing the properties.
And even just driving around the neighbourhoods and getting a feel for it, and you know from your research already which are the streets that are not popular and which are the better streets.
Well, they look a lot different online compared to what they are when you go and have a look as well.
Another question here.
Not necessarily a question. I've purchased 2 properties that I've looked at them and not even been to the state.
Yeah.
But I was confident in my research and the questionnaire and getting the people, and a few people, I suppose, coming back with the same answers. So I was quite confident doing that.
Well, it's good. I'm glad that worked out for you.
Just on that,
Yeah.
did you rely on agents?
So
feedback?
yeah, a couple agents.
Yeah. Yeah, we're very practical people, so we like the
One
hands-on. don't
wasn't
we?
even listed. It was before it got listed.
All right.
So,
Interest, were the 5, were they all positive cash flow ones?
So they were mostly neutrally or positively geared. Yeah. So that was sort of our strategy, because we could have bought, one property that was heavily negatively geared in Melbourne, but then we wouldn't have been able to buy any others. So we didn't want to do that. So we've gone for, most of them are getting about 5 to 6% capital growth, and then they've got yields of 5 to 6% as well. So across our portfolio, the rental yield is 5.8.